Hello and welcome to Securing Your AWS Environment. I'm Jerry Vitale with Enterprise Consulting Group, and I'm an AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner. So a little bit about ECG. We're based in St. Louis, Missouri, and for purposes of this presentation, we'd like you to know that we are an AWS consulting partner and a 4-star elite checkpoint partner. So today we'll talk a little bit about the forecast for cloud adoption, review AWS security fundamentals, and some of the AWS security and compliance products, talk about how Checkpoint can complement AWS security controls, and then how ECG can help you through a workshop, and a customer success story on how we help them secure their AWS environment. So we know that cloud adoption is rising and provides many benefits to organizations. And Gartner predicts that 2020 revenues from PaaS, SaaS, and IaaS to be around $190 billion. And the public cloud or infrastructure as a service is the fastest growing of the three. And about 95% of all organizations today use some type of cloud service. Security remains the number one concern in considering public cloud services. Infrastructure challenges, internal risks, and external threats top the list of concerns. So developing an understanding of cloud security fundamentals is critical. And in the coming slides, we will review those items. And then, of course, how we can help you secure your environment. We'll talk about the AWS global infrastructure. They build their data centers in multiple geographic regions and availability zones. And the availability zones are in each region and contain the AWS data centers. In North America, we've got regions in the east and west, and about 24 availability zones in North America. And these data centers are designed with excess bandwidth so that if a major disruption occurs, there's sufficient capacity to load balance traffic and route to the remaining sites. This minimizes the impact on AWS customers. And customers can leverage this multi-region, multi-availability zone strategy to build highly resilient applications at a disruptively low cost, and allows them to easily replicate and back up data and to deploy global security controls consistently across their businesses. Customers can't visit the AWS data centers to see how they are secured, but AWS engages with external certifying bodies and independent auditors to provide customers with considerable information regarding the policies, processes, and controls established and operated by AWS. Compliance and certifications and attestations are assessed by a third party and result in a certification, audit report, or attestation of compliance. AWS environments are continuously audited with certifications from accreditation bodies across the globe. This means that segments of a customer's compliance have already been completed, and customers inherit many controls operated by AWS into their own compliance and certification programs, lowering the cost to maintain and run security assurance efforts in addition to actually maintaining the controls themselves. And there's a lot of information about this, so you can review security regulations and standards with which AWS complies on the AWS Cloud Compliance web page. AWS separates most security responsibilities into two categories: security of the cloud managed by AWS and security in the cloud managed by the customer. This shared model relieves some of the customer's operational burden because AWS operates and manages and controls the components from the host operating system and virtualization layer down to the physical security of the facilities in which the service operates. The customers are responsible for managing the guest operating system, which includes updates and security patches, any application software, as well as configuring the AWS provided security controls, such as security groups, network access control lists, and identity and access management. And responsibilities can, of course, change depending on which services customers use. Now, in the cloud, there are a number of principles that can help customers strengthen their security. It's very critical to apply a defense in-depth approach with other security controls. Access to data should only be granted to the people who really need that access. Start with denying access to everything and then grant access as needed. Implement the principle of least privilege and enforce separation of duties with appropriate authorization for each interaction with your AWS resources. Monitor, alert, and audit actions and changes to your environment in real time, and integrate logs and metrics with systems to automatically respond and take action. Automated software-based security mechanisms improve your ability to securely scale more rapidly and cost-effectively. And by implementing controls that are defined and managed as code and version-controlled templates as well is important. Classify your data into sensitivity levels, and where appropriate, use mechanisms like encryption and access control. And finally, prepare for an incident by having an incident management process that aligns to organizational requirements, and run incident response simulations and use tools with automation to increase speed for detection, investigation, and recovery. Now, to help customers meet their responsibilities for security in the cloud, AWS provides security, identity, and compliance products in the 5 areas listed. So there's identity and access management, which is about defining, enforcing, and auditing user permissions. Detective controls, which is about visibility, capturing and analyzing logs, integrating auditing controls with notification and workflow. There's infrastructure security, and this basically helps customers reduce the surface area. So using an AWS VPC to create a private and secure environment on AWS would be an example of that. Data protection talks about classification, encryption, protecting data in transit and at rest, data backup, replication, and recovery, and incident response. And how your AWS cloud is architected and how you leverage some of these products is very critical to a mature incident response process. And AWS published the AWS Security Incident Response White Paper in June of 2019, and I would highly recommend reading that. So we'll touch upon a few of these products, but we won't go into all of them. IAM allows you to manage user credentials and access. Config is a service that enables you to assess, audit, and evaluate the configurations of your AWS resources. GuardDuty is a managed threat detection service that provides you with a more accurate and easy way to continuously monitor and protect your AWS accounts and workloads. Inspector analyzes application security. It's an automated security assessment service that helps improve the security and compliance of applications deployed on AWS. AWS Shield is a managed distributed denial of service protection service that safeguards web applications running on AWS. Firewall Manager allows for central management of firewall rules. Amazon VPC is a customer's logically isolated virtual network on the AWS cloud, including things like security groups, routing, and gateways. Amazon Macie is a machine learning powered security service to discover, classify, and protect sensitive data. And the Security Hub is a unified security and compliance center, and we'll discuss that on the next slide a little bit more in depth. And we added AWS Lambda in the incident response column. It's a compute function that allows you to run code to automate processes. And there are Lambda use cases for automating processes within incident response, i.e., event-driven responses or processes. The AWS Security Hub, it aggregates, organizes, and prioritizes security alerts or findings from multiple AWS services, such as GuardDuty and Inspector and Amazon Macie, as well as from AWS integrated partner solutions like Checkpoint Dome9. And some of the benefits are as it provides unified security and compliance center. It saves a lot of time with centralized and normalized findings, improves compliance with automated checks, and helps customers quickly take actions on findings. Checkpoint's CloudGuard suite is a very comprehensive portfolio that protects all cloud services against even the most sophisticated threats. It's a very robust portfolio. It's part of the Infinity architecture, and it includes CloudGuard SaaS, CloudGuard IaaS, which gives organizations unmatched protection for cloud infrastructure, workloads, and software as a service applications. Dome 9 is a multi-cloud and SaaS-based solution, and that allows organizations to automate cloud security and compliance. And Dome 9 supports AWS, Azure, and GCP. Now, Checkpoint CloudGuard complements AWS security controls to ensure that customers can fulfill their shared security responsibilities. The message here is that ECG can assist customers in reviewing their security controls and mapping the correct product to each security control. And we will discuss a customer success story where we did just that and leverage both AWS products and Checkpoint CloudGuard IaaS to deliver advanced security and consistent policy enforcement for a customer. So the areas within this workshop that we cover is we will review the AWS well-architected framework and take a deeper dive into the security pillar, which is one of 5 pillars within the AWS well-architected framework. We'll go through the security best practices and design principles and review the security and compliance products that we discussed a few slides ago. There's a set of questions that we can use for discovery and knowledge transfer, and then review a report with finding and recommendations. So our success story highlights a St. Louis-based company that specializes in consumer B2B and employee loyalty services. They have compliance with PCI and had a security and architecture concerns about their AWS workloads. Now, in addition, their growth plans included a multi-VPC architecture. So they needed a security solution that was scalable, cost-effective, and could be managed, centrally managed. So we worked with AWS and Checkpoint, and we implemented the AWS Transit Gateway with Checkpoint CloudGuard IaaS. And I'll go through that technical architecture on the next slide. So this diagram shows the AWS Transit Gateway architecture for Checkpoint CloudGuard on AWS. And it's with a hybrid cloud setup, you can connect your on-premises and cloud environments, and cloud assets can have secured access to on-premises assets. So the connection is established through a secured VPN connection between your Checkpoint Security Gateway and a CloudGuard gateway in AWS. Now, a Transit Gateway, it acts as a regional virtual router for traffic that flows between your virtual private clouds and VPN connections, and it scales elastically based on the volume of network traffic. This is an end-to-end solution which includes the AWS Transit Gateway object, the spoke consumer VPCs that you see on the diagram, and those are attached to the AWS Transit Gateway. On the left, inbound security VPC with CloudGuard Security Gateway's auto-scaling group is attached to the Transit Gateway. You have a corporate VPN between on-premises perimeter and the AWS Transit Gateway. There's automatic provisioning of VPN tunnels. There's BGP routing configuration between the AWS Transit Gateway and the CloudGuard IaaS security gateways. On the far right, you see the outbound security VPC with CloudGuard Transit Gateway's auto-scaling group, and then the red arrows that show the provisioning flow from an on-premises management server. With the Transit Gateway, you only have to create and manage one connection from the central gateway into each Amazon VPC, on-premises data center, or remote office across your network. So some additional benefits. This aligned with security best practices, and CloudGuard IaaS let our customer enforce consistent security policies across their entire organization, help them protect data between the corporate network and the Amazon VPC, and CloudGuard IaaS inspects data that enters and leaves the private subnet in the Amazon VPC to prevent attacks and mitigate data loss or leakage. And CloudGuard IaaS protects services in the public cloud from, as we mentioned, the most sophisticated threats, unauthorized access, and prevents application layer denial of service. And you can see at the bottom of the screen some of the AWS products and services that we deployed in this solution for the customer. So I thank you very much for your time. Once again, my name is Jerry Vitale with Enterprise Consulting Group, and if you'd like to contact me, I'm at jjv@ec-group.com. Thank you very much and have a great day.